Uh, I just was reading an article about uh, a man in Tulsa named Ed Wheeler who works for Oklahoma Natural Gas guard, and he well, I've got company now. Anyway, he uh, wrote. He's a historian and the Tulsa massacre. He, a massacre. Um, he got he had a hard time getting his story printed, and publication printed it, and um, uh, it's just he was fearful for his life, and rightfully so. Ed knew Ed knows Tulsa, uh, fascist Tulsa, and fascist Tulsa is not Hollywood. Okay, uh, where they write stories and can deal with you. In Tulsa, they just shoot you and get rid of you some way. And, uh, he was fearful for his family and moved him around to get him out of the way. He said he knew how to use a rifle, and he does. He's fucking general, and he was a rifle infantryman when he was a second lieutenant. So um, uh, that's just the state that we live in here. And there's I lived in Tulsa for 10 years, and of course I'm from eastern Oklahoma, and Tulsa was the oil capital of the world, and uh, they protect their own and have no qualms about killing. Uh, they'll kill you one way or the other, get you out of business, or get you poor, or get you. Uh, they'll make sure that uh, they've got you inactive. But all of a sudden we got this phone that I'm holding in my hand and can communicate all over the world. And this is pretty fucking incredible, really. And so anyway, I usually talk mostly about the NEAT Act, how we can get all the things that we need, do all the things we need to do without taxing anybody or or borrowing money from anybody. Also, a little bit about the Austrian school and a guy named Rothbard, and uh, I picked up a copy of Rothbard's book, History of Money and Banking. It ain't a history of money and banking. It's a it's a defense of the way the Austrians look at the history of money and banking, and it is confusing as hell. Pick the damn book up and start reading uh, the words that he uses. It's right out of some elite school that some elite professor that wants to just impress each other with his knowledge of words. And it is, we don't have to make it understanding money and banking. It doesn't have to be confusing. It's pretty fucking straightforward. The banks have the power to create money, and whoever has the power to create money has the power to control the culture. And that's what the banks do. They control our culture. And, it's that simple. Uh, and anybody that tries to make it complex, watch out for them. Uh, yeah, my favorite economics professor I had, Dr. Brinker, back in the '60s. He, uh, I was like a 21-year-old in his class. I met and got to be friends with Dr. Brinker later on in life as we were both adults. And I said, Dr. Brinker, I was sitting in your class and asleep, and you were writing these uh, equilibrium curves up on the blackboard. and which I had already sensed was frauds, and so I might as well just get a nap. And then he said, "My friends over at University or Oklahoma State University say that we can't do this, and so we can't help the poor. We can't pay for education. We can't uh, uh, have health care uh, because of these. Uh, because if the money supply goes up, the prices go up." And and he says, "What I think we should do with these curves is we should open those windows over there and throw them out on the lawn." And I said, "Dr. Breaker, you woke me up." And I was ready for that because already I had picked up in my family that we didn't like the fucking bankers at all. They turned Grandpa down time after time after time. And he had a machine shop and an iron foundry and a farm. And they told him, "You ought to just leave the keys to the shop on their desk and give up." And he didn't give up. And now his grandson's not giving up because we're going to get those fucking bankers. Uh, uh, this is the way they treat everyone that is not like them. And and I'm certainly not like them. I remember they thought they were going to make me like them. Uh, they invited me after they gave me $1 million loan. They invited me to be sure and stop by for coffee in their private room in the back of the bank, and uh, I they couldn't imagine how uncomfortable I was with that. I didn't want to hang out with these people. No, there was no hanging out at all, and there was nothing in my contract that said I had to, that I had to like them, that I had to do what they said. Nothing in my contract, but they finally got me. I was having too good a time. I was traveling all over. Had a twin-engine airplane, a Beechcraft Baron. If you know anything about twin-engine airplanes, a Baron is a bearcat of a plane. Real sophisticated uh, piece of machinery. And I could get anywhere in the country. And I was getting anywhere in the country. And of course, I didn't realize that all I was really associated with that 72 Beech Baron E-55, small, small fuselage, big engines. And I, but I was associated with the fucking fascists, and I didn't realize it. And this is when Reagan was taking over, the chief fascist, and I even flew in and got to. I found Paul Warwick in his office on an alley in Washington D.C. Uh, just after he had gotten his major funding from Coors people, and and he was the creator of the conservative movement. They taught people how to run for Congress, and they had a plan. And they took over Congress, and so let's uh, let's don't let these people run their lives anymore, which is what it's all about. And Robert Austrian apologies, economic theory. It's just it's that that they can understand complicated understanding something. Well, most comprehensive written it was written by in Chicago, and he wrote a book called The Lost Science of Money. And one of my best in this book is history. That is science in the book, and that's how I was. Uh, Thaddeus Russell, historian friend, uh, likes to say that historians, their thing is to tell stories. Well, Zarlenga was good at telling stories. First time I heard him was at a economics teach-in of the Occupy Chicago. I have grandchildren in Chicago, so I thought I should pay attention to Occupy in Chicago, and I looked on their calendar, and they had an economics teach-in. So I thought, well, okay, I'll get on my computer and attend. And and the first instructor up okay, I must have lost the connection for a while. I don't know if I lost it. I don't know when it was. And anyway, I historians tell stories. Zarlinga, Stephen Zarlinga, that wrote The Lost Science of Money, which is a history book of money, wrote, uh, uh, loved to tell stories, and he was good at it. And I heard him the first time in Occupy Chicago, and he told a story about Hamilton and Washington. They those two guys got together, and they got the power to create money taken from Congress, like it specifies in our Constitution. Power to create money is in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8. Congress has the power to coin money, which means power to create money. And uh, they got that given to their friends who became the first bankers, and Washington became the richest man in this new country. And and this is like the Bank of England plan. The Bank of England creates all the money in England. Uh, it's a national bank, but it's really not. It's private people. And uh, uh, anyway, he uh, told his story about them conspiring together and getting the power to create money given to their friends who became our first bankers. And not only that, these guys knew that Congress was going to make whole all of the debt certificates that issued by the colonies, and uh, they sent people out into the colonies to buy these off the merchants and the farmers and the people that had invested uh, their money uh, in the Revolution, really, against England, uh, and bought them up for pennies on the dollars. Brought them back to Congress. Treasury gave them 100% value, the face value of the certificate, and they used that money to capitalize the first bank in the United States. Our banking system was founded in fraud, and it's fraud today. And these guys are making off of us at every turn. That's the way they have it designed. We've got to borrow. We got to borrow money to buy cars. We have to borrow money to pay for roads. Uh, we have to borrow money for everything, and there's a way around borrowing all that money and giving these people a free ride on us. That's all they're doing. They got a free ride on us. They can send their children to the nicest schools and everything where the professors uh, dare not talk about the history of money because it's a condemnation of their way of life. And uh, so we fought a war. We fought the English. We fought the strongest military in the world to keep from having the kind of money creation that we have now. And Washington, that cherry tree head guy, uh, gave it all away right away. Man, we're talking 1787. He gave it away uh, to these people. So anyway, uh, that is the reason we have the NEAT Act. We want the power back to create money. It's the first piece of legislation ever introduced into Congress to get the power given back to us that our Constitution gave us. And he's uh, uh, and uh, we're going to have to do it. It's by a former congressman named Dennis Kucinich, who ran for president twice as Green Party candidate. Dennis, and actually, he didn't know anything about this, but this drop dead beautiful woman named Elizabeth came over here from England to help Zarlenga uh, uh, have some influence in Congress. They had a meeting with Dennis Kucinich, who had been fighting bankers since he was mayor of Cleveland, Ohio, when the bankers of Cleveland, Ohio wanted to take the power company away from the city and give it to themselves, declare in a bankruptcy. And uh, and 20, I think he was 21-year old uh, Dennis fought him off and beat the bankers. So Dennis has a history of beating bankers. So anyway, so Zarlinga knew that, and Elizabeth knew that. So they went to see Dennis, and uh, and Elizabeth is drop dead beautiful. I've stood right just like I'm sitting right here right now in Chicago and visited with her, and uh, she uh, uh, Dennis says, by the time that meeting was finished, we had exchanged phone numbers. I was helping Dennis in Oklahoma, and there was a big meeting and a big crowd and a big room, and I was on one side of the crowd, and Dennis was walking on the other side of the town, the crowd, and every time he took a step, he'd look right toward me, and and I'm a gay man, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to be sleeping in the White House, and it's not going to be in the Lincoln bedroom. And Elizabeth laughs, says Dennis will love that story. So, listen, Dennis, Elizabeth, you're hearing that. This is William in Oklahoma, and I'm still very active. I plan on being in New York City if it's all possible for the anniversary of Occupy Wall Street in September, and I plan on talking there, and I want to speak to those occupiers that are still there, and let them know that anything that they're wanting to do, they're going to be able to do with the NEAT Act, and we're actually going to have a meeting on April the 15th, Tax Day, at not Zuccotti Park, at the park that's right across the street from the Federal Reserve Building on Maiden uh, Drive in New York City, and we'll be there with a hip hop band. You know where hip hop music came from? West Africa. It came to America on the slave ships of West Africa. I've seen old films, uh, really old films, uh, of the people there dancing to the music and dancing on the ground like they do, like the hip hop people do, and hip hop. Somebody said, "Well, why you want to take?" I took a course in hip hop music. Okay, I don't understand, and I found University. You need to check out renegadeuniversity.com. Check them out. Uh, you're going to learn about things that you're not going to learn in any elite university. Got his PhD in history from Tyre at Barnard College for 20 years, taking a course in and I think starts May. I've already enrolled and paid for the tuition, so I'm in the course, and I bought a copy of Plato's Republic today because that's our assigned reading. And what a well written book. So different than Rothbard's book, History of Money. God, it's refreshing to read a book that's written to be understood. Rothbard's book is written to not be understood. That's what the Austrian economists do, and they are the original founders of the international economics like we have now, and thinking that the market solves everything. No, uh, we can do what we need to do. Inflation doesn't follow by supply. But they want us to use gold or silver for our money. Well, I'll tell you what gold did for an empire, and Roman Empire. It ended it. It killed it. It wasn't because they were fucking boys. It was because they lost control of their money when they expanded their empire too far, and the people out there wouldn't accept uh, their Roman money for buying supplies and food for the soldiers and things. So they wanted gold or silver, and what that did is it gave the power to control the Roman Republic to the people that own the gold and silver, and that's all in the Lost Science of Money by Stephen Zarlenga. Uh, we're fighting a system that's been going on for a long, long time. So let's okay. Let's talk about the NEAT Act just a second. It has three parts: nationalize the Federal Reserve, put it in the Treasury. It's privately owned now, and most of the stock is owned by J.P. Morgan Chase. Um, um, and the power of the banks to create money by fractional reserve banking. Uh, they have when you get a car loan, they didn't that they loan in the vault. They created it the second they did that, punched their computer and and put money in your account. It's an accounting entry, and uh, and we're going to take that power away from them, and we're going to create then because that creates money as a debt. We're going to create money as an asset. Or on that side of the ledger, uh, where you have liabilities, you also have capital, and we're going to create money as capital, as our capital, uh, and 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 that way the balance sheet balances, and uh, so that's how we will do it with the NEAT Act. And now we've created so much debt that the interest payments alone is $500 billion a year, and that's when interest rates are virtually zero. What's what's the payment going to be if the interest rate comes to 1 or 2 or 3%? It's going to be a hell of a lot. And, so Uh, let's get the NEAT Act. Oh, okay. After we take the power of the banks to create money from, they're going to be able to make loans, but they're going to have to do like a saving loan association. They're going to have us, the Treasury, to back them up to say, well, we need money because we've got a good deal loan here. We've vetted this guy, and he's good for it, and it's going to be good, and and, and we'll loan him the money to loan. That's the way our savings loan associations do. They've got when you're borrowing off of savings loan association, you're borrowing off of a commercial bank, okay, and they're not going to tell you that, but that's what they're doing. They're all of them are locked in with a commercial bank, and so uh, the the banks after the NEAT Act will be locked into the Treasury, and they need money. We can decide if that's what we want money spent for, and we'll give it to them at interest. And then they can charge a little more and make their profit. So anyway, uh, that's that's the second step. First one is nationalize Federal Reserve and fractional reserve banking, the power of banks to create money, and then spend money into the economy. We got to spend money into the economy. That's what Andrew Jackson forgot. He forgot that he had to spend money into the economy, and he caused a Great Depression. Uh, now we know that lesson. We're not going to make that mistake. We're going to get good health care, good education, good transportation, free free health care, free education, free transportation, free everything that we need. Housing. Uh, uh, I ate at Food and Shelter today, the soup kitchen for Norman, and what those people need is money. And Thaddeus keeps saying, "Well, you people that want to do things for these poor people don't even know them." Well, I do fucking know them. Okay, I eat lunch with them every day. Let's occupy the need act. I think I'll end on that, and I'm glad that you joined me today. And let's see. Looks like we've been on 28 minutes, so we're coming up on 30 minutes. So I will see you soon.